Story 1. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law that she is overweight and she can deal with the truth? I dislike this woman, so I'm coming here if I should apologize. My brother got married a few years ago to Shelley. She's the type of person who will say something rude and then when someone points it out, tell everyone it is true, so what's the harm? My mother despised her and opted out of most events just to avoid her. I moved back home about a year ago, and at the time I thought people were just being rude to her or overblowing the things she says. I was wrong. My first proper introduction to her, she told me my outfit looked bad on me and it wasn't hiding my stomach. I give a present to a birthday party and she tells me I'm cheap. I got a bubble gun for a 5-year-old. He loved it. This goes on and on. I talked to my brother and he told me she's autistic and she can't help it. I then talked to her and told her I won't put up with her being rude. Now it's my son's 3rd birthday and I invite the family. I wouldn't have invited her, but I don't want to cause waves. She commented on my house decor and I told her it was rude and to knock it off. I lost it when I gave my son a piece of cake. She commented that I shouldn't give him any since he looked fat. I told her to apologize and she told me it was the truth. I told her that she was overweight, that if she took care of herself more, she wouldn't be fat, that this was the truth, and that she is rotten on the inside and her looks were just as bad. She ends up crying and leaving. My brother was peed and I was called some fun names. Everyone is torn as to whether I should apologize or not. So, this is a slightly tricky one, as it appears that she is on the autism spectrum. And, I have people in my life, very close family members who are also on the spectrum. And they don't necessarily speak in ways that are, in line with normal social cues and norms and stuff like that. But at the same time, there is understanding of things that are going to make other people uncomfortable. And them telling you, hey, that's actually kind of, hurtful to hear. I wish you would apologize. And to then just be like, no, it's the truth. Deal with it. I believe that there is a line between, not always understanding when you're speaking without tact and refusing to acknowledge that you have hurt someone with your words. And I don't think that you can just, hide behind, anything at that point. When people plainly communicate how what you've said has been hurtful to them and they just, hunker down and are like, nope, I feel like that's not great. Now, whether or not, calling her out on her physical appearance was necessarily the right course of action, I don't like to ever condone body shaming anyone for any reason, even as a form of revenge. The moment that we start picking at each other for looks and everything, that's it's not great because it's could potentially hurt other people who hear. There's a whole thing. I'm not going to get into it. So I don't think that it was maybe the best response to that, but I'm also not on her side in this situation. If she's being told that, something that she said was hurtful and she's just like, nope, it's the truth. I shouldn't have to apologize. Well, then you're kind of being a crappy person. So yeah, I don't know. That's where I stand on it, but I'm seriously interested to know what other folks think. So if you got some thoughts, put them in the comments. I do get down there and read those sometimes. Not all the time. There's a lot of them sometimes because you folks are great. Story 2. Today I effed up by chugging 900 milligrams of caffeine within 5 minutes. Recently, I've just been insanely bored and tired of my day-to-day college life, so I decided haphazardly to lock myself in my room and chug 300 milligram energy drinks back-to-back within about 4 to 5 minutes. I have no friends at my college and am severely behind in my coursework, so every day I feel both completely lonely and severely overwhelmed. Not trying to start a pity party, but I've been feeling pretty bad about myself as of late due to both not having any friends and being accepting of my poor grades. So I see this as kind of a punishment for being such a disappointment to both myself and my family. Anyways, as for the actual F-up, as I type this, I can feel the effects starting to kick in. I'm someone who has a high tolerance for caffeine, and it's only been a little while since I finished the 3rd energy drink. So I'm not sure how bad it will get, but as of right now, I can tell that it's not going to go too well. very fidgety, and starting to feel aching on the side of my head. I also am slowly beginning to notice tension in my upper left arm. My heartbeat is a bit faster than normal, but I'm sure it will get much faster with some time. It's almost as if I can feel the heat of my blood going through the back of my neck, and now it's taking a lot of concentration to stop my right leg from moving up and down. I planned on having a 1200 milligram intake at once, but my body just would not let me drink the last can, so I threw it away instead. I'm still not exactly sure why I did any of this, but with any luck, I'll just have some time to feel something other than disappointment, even if it is bodily discomfort. Huzzah! Too long didn't read. Depressed? A college kid with 0 friends and a shaky future intakes 900 milligrams of caffeine via energy drink all at once because of boredom and loneliness. Okay, I don't even actually want to joke about this one because this is very much a cry for help. I don't know if 900 milligrams is going to be dangerous or not, but it potentially could. That seems like just way too much to be having all at once. Don't do something like this, folks. You're at the very best going to feel like absolute garbage. For this person, I would say seriously consider getting some help. If you're feeling like this, if you've struggled to make any kind of friends and your grades are struggling in college, I know that taking a break from college almost seems like, I'm trying to find the right words for it here, but it feels like almost giving up. Like, nope, if you take a break from college, it's just over. You're never going to get that back. That is not true. You absolutely can. And if you're feeling like this and your grades are starting to slip, it's probably not going to get better by just, beating your head against a metaphorical wall. It sounds like you need to maybe reprioritize some stuff in your life. Take some time off from college. Maybe get some therapy or something like that. Try and find friend groups and interests that you can interact with, because just trying to push through this is going to be a miserable experience. And there are people out there that I'm sure would love to be your friends, and I don't know why you haven't made any. I don't know if it's because you're not putting yourself out there, or you're nervous, or just hold up all the time trying to do work and depressed. There's no way to know from even, if you had written 10 times as much, I couldn't say anything for sure, probably. Really would help to have like a third-party mediator, a therapist, someone unbiased who can maybe help you with some of these issues. And chances are, if you start having friends and you're happier, you'll probably also start doing better when you go back to college. But I wouldn't stay there if it is making you this miserable. Believe me, it's okay to take a break and sort things out. And sometimes that's for the best. I've known people who didn't go back to college until they were almost 30, but now their life is amazing because they took that time. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. I've talked too long already. Story 3. I blew up a romance scammer's life. This one is fresh and still unfolding, but it's already hit an explosive level. Some details are intentionally vague. Context. I'm a woman in my 30s with a reasonably good corporate-type job in a field with lots of room for growth, and am recently back into the dating scene after a decade. I'm kind of a would-be a 10 if she lost 30 pounds looking girl, beautiful face, if a bit chubby, but I never have issues getting a date. I'm not well off, but I'm stable, and have a bit of spending money. I live in a large multicultural city, and my ex was an immigrant, so I'm open to dating people of any origin. What happened? A few weeks ago, I met a very charming man from a Latin American country only a couple years younger than me. Seemed very sweet, cuddly, intelligent, family-oriented, emotionally available, educated, and in a good profession back home in his country, and had a lot in common with me. Chemistry seemed amazing inside and outside the bedroom. He was honest that he was in my country on a tourist visa, but hoping to stay. I made it clear I wouldn't be able to help him with that, but we'd have a fun summer fling while he was here. If he managed to stay or come back, only then would we consider a real relationship. Then the other shoe dropped. A couple weeks and 4 dates in, during a text conversation about my work, he asked me to be his sugar mommy. I initially laughed and assumed it was a joke. he kept pushing and clearly said it wasn't. Of course, feeling insulted by this, I went off on him. He maintained it as a serious task until I hit a nerve with my complaints about how embarrassed he should be to ask me that. Then he got angry and insulted me for thinking he was serious about it. No apology for being hurtful to me. Obviously, what I did next was take screenshots and cry about it to my closest friends. I was hurt that I was fooled into thinking he liked me and that he thought I needed to pay for a man. My friends started the fuse on what happened next. One of my friends started snooping more on his online presence. Together, we found about 6 different Instagram accounts that were him using different variations of his name and different photos of himself, all uploaded in batches. On Facebook, a similar pattern, all very scammy and suspicious looking. He'd been foolish enough on one of his profiles, though, to follow and tag the employer that he was working for illegally on his tourist visa in my country. So I contacted another close friend in a local law enforcement agency that works with immigration. She looked up his file. He had a wife and daughter at home. I released the hounds after that. The friend who helped me investigate online made several group chats on multiple platforms with all of his family, immediate and extended, and friends. She released all the screenshots as well as a rant about how shameful it was. As they started blocking her, she added more people. I found his sister's phone number. She sent her messages there too. Everyone he knows, including his wife, knows he's unfaithful and trying to take advantage of women. 30 minutes after the online bombardment started, I got a rude message from him about how I should be smart enough to know he was joking and he doesn't need to sell himself. I didn't reply. Next step? Online immigration reporting form with all the info we found. Work info, employer name and address, his home address, full name, job, photos, screenshots admitting to working. Usually these reports take months to be reviewed, if at all, but I gave the file number to my law enforcement friend. 2 days later, law enforcement officers visited him at home. They found him with a phone number that was issued to a local resident. All his roommates also had numbers issued to the same person, a direct link to the employer. He received a caution for trying to scam me, a no-contact order, and a flag on his immigration file that, based on his country of origin, will likely mean he can never return, as well as a strict warning to not work without authorization. His roommates also received warning. His employer received a visit next. They found significant proof that they'd been employing him illegally, as well as multiple other people. Their investigation is still ongoing, but so far they're likely to receive tens of thousands in fines or possible jail time. The guy isn't getting deported because the government would have to pay for it, and proceedings take longer than his remaining visa time, but he's now upgraded from a flagged file to a multi-year ban on re-entry to my country. If he bothers me again, though, he will be deported as well. Hope he enjoys going back to his angry wife and the ridicule from everyone he knows. See ya again, never. So, I don't know which country this person is from now. They've left that intentionally a bit vague. So, I guess I can't say too much about, there are a lot of contentious issues going on as far as, immigration laws and all that kind of stuff are concerned that I am not even close enough to educate it on to give a real opinion. So, I don't know. I'm usually against dealing with that kind of stuff, but this guy was also clearly scamming you and possibly doing more, maybe scamming other people, who knows. So, yeah, that's pretty crappy, especially when he has a wife and daughter at home, so he's at a visa in that country, working illegally. I don't know about that, but doing that to you and just being that's just gross. Seriously, folks, don't scam other people. And especially don't scam other people with, romance and all that stuff, because that is trying to get money from people, but also, really messing with them on an emotional level, to a point where this person might now have trust issues in the future because of what you're doing. And, God, I just, yeah, if you're gonna goof over the government a bit or whatever, I have no set opinions on that and wouldn't encourage anyone to do anything bad. But don't scam people with romance. That's just gross. Story 4. Do I, 28 female, need to worry about my boyfriend's, 24 male, friendship with his professor, 25 female? My boyfriend, 24 male, became friends with his former professor, 25 female, sometime last year. I don't know what to make of it. They seem to be friendly and talk consistently every week, and from what he tells me, it's usually very surface level. Sometime last year, after the course ended, my boyfriend, his professor, and some of his male classmates went somewhere to eat together. My boyfriend brought up that he was going to be attending an event, plastic modeling show, and his professor showed interest and invited herself to the event and asked if she could stay at his Airbnb with his friends. My boyfriend and his friends were all okay with it. I unfortunately couldn't attend the event, but from what my boyfriend told me, he and a few of his friends met up at their Airbnb. That same day, his professor came to my boyfriend's Airbnb and tagged a few of her girlfriends along. I believe they all stayed in the same place. The next day, they went to the event, went to a bar afterwards, and got drinks. A lot of them, except my boyfriend, got pretty drunk, and my boyfriend took the liberty of being the designated driver for his professor and her friends. His professor won some model kit from the event, and even in her drunken state asked my boyfriend if he could stay up with her to work on the kit together. From what my boyfriend tells me, nothing else happened that night. After the event, everyone from that group created a group chat, and they continued to plan and talk about future events together. Since then, my boyfriend and his friends had met up with his professor and got to meet his professor's fiancée at an anime convention, and it sounded like they all got along well. His professor continues to express interest in other events, and it sounds like she may be attending another event with my boyfriend and his friends in the near future. I trust my boyfriend and don't think he's hiding anything from me. Honestly speaking, I think it's hard for me to understand their friendship as it is his professor. I've had a conversation with him on this, and he's let me know that I have nothing to worry about. I would like to hear others' opinions and see what you all think of this friendship. Is this something I need to be concerned about, or is it really nothing? I honestly wouldn't be concerned. It sounds like, well, the reason that they're friends is it sounds like this professor and your boyfriend are both interested in the same field. Obviously, your boyfriend went to school and the professor taught something that he was interested in. And so, a plastics modeling convention, I don't know what that is. Sounds nerdy, so it's probably something I'd be down for. But yeah, and like anime conventions, they're people with similar interests, and it's not like it's just like your boyfriend had an Airbnb just for himself, and she's like, well, do you mind if I stay at there, just the two of us? And even then, I'm the kind of person where if my partner told me something like that was happening, I'd be like, yeah, please go for it. Because I trust her. I just do. And it's okay for people to have friends with people of an opposite gender or same gender if that's what you're attracted to. Whatever. Those relationships can exist. And if your boyfriend hasn't given you any indicator that there's something like weirdly suspicious, like, oh, he's always going off to these events and his friends suddenly can't make it or whatever, like, it's one thing if suspicious things keep happening and you go like, there's a lot of coincidences. I don't like how many coincidences this is. It's making me uncomfortable. But there have been no coincidences. It's just they're going to conventions. They share similar interests. Of course they're friends. Of course they would hang out. Like, just because she was his professor at one point in time doesn't necessarily mean anything. I've known folks who ended up like years after college dated their professors, It happens. They're all adults. Adults become friends. You're fine. Everything's going to be fine. I hope. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.